हिंदुस्तान में शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में कई भ्रांतियां हैं, कई कंफ्यूजन्स हैं। एक डॉक्टर हमेशा ये चाहता है कि हमारा बेटा या बेटी डॉक्टर बने। दूसरी एक और स्थिति है कि एक व्यक्ति अपनी जिंदगी में डॉक्टर बनना चाहता था, नहीं बन पाया, तो वो सोचता है कि हम नहीं बन पाए तो हमारा बेटा या बेटी डॉक्टर बन जाए और हमारे सपनों को साकार करे।
The Achiever Times news and portal present the weekly career program Agam Shiksha Sugam Career, Session 2, Episode 2, How to Bring Higher Education on its Track, English version, 9 September 2018. So you are welcome in the weekly career program Agam Shiksha Sugam Career. The train of higher education in India is totally derailed. Most of the coaches are out of track. For this, a total change is required at the level of student, teacher, principal, government administration, and parents. Although computer, mobile, internet, smart board, and portals have entered in the education system, even then the actual prerequisites are miles away. During the last 70 years, after independence of India, many experiments were tried, but actual problems of education are still unsolved. More or less, almost all careers are off the track. Let us discuss on some relevant points. Number one, we should train the human resources as per the real need of the society. Today, most of the informations about teaching and professional institutions are present online and website. Suppose we wish to analyze the scenario of teaching career. We have the list of names, addresses, email and websites of almost all colleges and universities. We can collect the information about number of all sanctioned posts of teachers, number of teachers already working, number of vacant posts, and number of teachers who are going to retire after 2, 3, 4 or 5 years. This information is already available at the websites of Directorate of Higher Education, DIOS, CBSE, ICSE and state boards of education. Now, after getting the information about all available posts, we can plan the number of seats in institutions, training for B.Ed, BTC, NTT, etc. Only that much candidates should be allowed for teachers training which are actually required in the society. Suppose in a city 300 teachers are required and 20 B.Ed institutions are there, each having 50 seats. So 1,000 students are preparing for B.Ed. They will come in the job market after 1 year. Only 300 seats are available. So what about 700 teachers? They are not going to get a job. In the same way, we can also collect information about number of engineers which will be required in coming 5 years after getting the requirements in different industries. Number of candidates taking admission in different streams of engineering such as electrical, mechanical, nanotechnology, civil, automobile, biotechnology, computer and information technology, chemical, energy, petroleum, mining, aeronautics, polymer, ceramic, leather technology, railway, aviation, metro should also be tailored according to the actual demand of the specialists in different industries. Similarly, number of seats in MBBS course of all medical colleges should be according to the actual demand of doctors according to the population of India. Number two, another very important point of education has not yet been seriously touched. In fact, at the level of 8th class only, the psychological aptitude test of the students should be conducted. After that, the students should be made acquainted about challenges and expectations of different careers. Only those students which have an aptitude and potential for medical profession should be trained for pre-medical tests for 4 years along with their usual studies in their college starting from 9th class and onwards. It is very funny that a student which is well versed in physics, chemistry and mathematics and which secures good merit in a pre-engineering test is allowed for admission in engineering class without knowing whether he or she has a knack, aptitude and potential about engineering profession. The same mistake is being repeated for teaching career. Without knowing that a particular student has a liking and potential for teaching profession, just because of knowing that now our government is offering a good pay package for teachers, he or she opts for a teaching profession. After passing the PGT, TGT or TET, that guy gets a job of teacher in a remote village. Now what happens? That guy just visits that village school once or twice per month and fills his presence in attendance register. Don't you feel that this is ridiculous? Therefore, we should try to reach into the root cause of this anomaly. Third, very interesting point is that we are putting double burden of his education on the shoulders of our sons and daughters. On one hand, we are teaching them in schools and colleges for a simple pass certificate and degree. By this degree alone, they are unable to fetch a job. Now for getting a job again, he has to undertake a coaching of mental ability, reasoning for bank services, coaching for English speaking and computer proficiency, etc. In this professional coaching, the parents have to spend a good amount of money once again. Suppose we consider about a coaching of NEET or pre-engineering tests. About 1,000 students undergo this training in a big city. Every student pays about 1 lakh rupees in a year. It becomes an amount of rupees 10 crores. Now, after spending this 10 crores, what is the outcome? Only 10 or 20 students are selected. What about the other 980 students? Their precious 1 year time, energy and about 10 crore rupees are lost. Is it a good model of education? I don't say that all coaching centers should be stopped or abandoned, but I suggest that the preparations for competitive examination should be conducted in the college premises itself. It will reduce the price to half because building, furniture and other infrastructures are already available free of cost in the colleges. In the curriculum of higher education, a much more emphasis should be given to industrial training. If along with the classroom study, the student will be given exposure of industries also, then according to his interest, that student will be able to take more correct decisions at the time of placement. All engineering, management and other professional institutions should adopt 4 or 5 intermediate colleges for whole year. The professionals should visit those colleges and better equip them in their study of physics, chemistry and mathematics, and above all, about the professional courses also. The students of 11th and 12th should also be allowed to visit different factories and industries, such as factories for making cold drink, ice cream, bread, biscuits, sugar, transformers and other assemblies at power substations, hydroelectric power making centers, etc. This way the students will get a better insight of realities of practical life. Today, after the entry of multinational companies, there is no shortage of jobs in India. Only thing is that at a shoe shop, shoes of different sizes and numbers, 5, 6, 7 number are available. But we have to select a shoe according to our own foot size. Suppose we have a foot size of 5 number and we purchase a very beautiful, good looking designer shoe but of 6 number size. What will happen? We will be unable to walk after wearing that shoe. The same mistake is being repeated in our educational system also. In the class, there are students of different IQ. One group of students may have a potential to obtain 50% to 60% marks. Another batch of students may have a potential to get 60% to 70% marks. One more batch of students may have an IQ to obtain 70% to 80% marks in their examinations. There are institutions for higher education and jobs for all of them. But only problem is this, that if a person of 60 to 70% caliber applies for a job having desirability of 70% to 80% marks and he or she fails in the entrance examination, after failing, he becomes discouraged, disappointed, harassed and frustrated. He feels that Almighty God himself had become dishonest and is not favoring him. He may also feel that administration and society have become corrupt in not selecting them. We have to counterbalance the stress of such students and youth. We have to convince them that actually it was their own fault because they did not opt for a college or profession in accordance with their own potential. Last but not the least, I have a message for youth that they should also understand them a respectful human being. If a system wants to drive them like a flock of lamb or goat, they should not be trapped in such a vicious circle. They should react. If you will not care about your self-respect and sovereignty, then nobody else will take care of your respect. Nowadays, in every metro city, on every Sunday, there is a competitive examination for some government job. Thousands and lakhs of students apply for those posts. Every Sunday, you look at a huge crowd of students visit your city. All buses and trains passing that city are overflooded. The transport system of that city gets collapsed. Examining body is not worried about that, where and what those students will take in breakfast or lunch, where from they will get drinking water, where they will urinate and where they will defecate. Examining body only arranges for examination centers and invigilators in those colleges. Do you know that on average the admission fee for entrance examinations is about 5 to 700 rupees, even more than that. If 20,000, sometimes even more than that, students are applying for that entrance examination, then the total collection will be about 1 crore 40 lakh rupees. The expense of paper setting and printing, conduct of examination, evaluation and result making all makes about 100 rupees per student, which makes a total of about 20 lakh rupees. It clearly means that selection of better and suitable student out of the mob is simply a fraud. Examining body collects at least 1 or more than 1 crore rupees by conducting an entrance examination. They are absolutely not bothered about the welfare of a student. They are bothered about that 1 or 2 crore rupees. The students are simply chessmen for them. So next time when you apply for a coaching or entrance examination, just think before that what actually you are going to obtain from that test. Very often before the declaration of result, some candidates from result quota puts a writ petition in High Court. The declaration of result is postponed and new session of exploitation starts once again. Thank you. In the next episode, we will talk about career in environmental science on 16th September because 16th September is ozone depletion day. And on the next 23rd September, we'll talk about career in home science. You are welcome.
कैरियर की अप टू डेट जानकारी के लिए आप हमारे इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर सकते हैं, तो आगे आने वाले एपिसोड आपको सबसे पहले मिल जाएंगे। इसके अलावा आपको हमारे चैनल के क्या पसंद आया, नहीं पसंद आया, अपनी राय भी आप दे सकते हैं। आपकी यदि कोई क्वेरी है आप उससे पूछ सकते हैं, हम अगले एपिसोड में उसका जवाब देंगे।